PHP 7 now has a new preg replace callback array. Now previously, trying to do this in the older versions of PHP, you had to use a different function, and it was a little bit more complex than what we're doing here. This new function makes it a lot more modular and a lot nicer to look at. So first of all, regular expressions simply match certain data in the string. So I could look for a word in the string, or I could look for certain characters in the string, and so forth. So regular expressions are very useful for formatting and analyzing string data. So the first thing we have is a variable called subject, and the subject contains a string. Now we're going to be using this string throughout our program, so I don't have to keep retyping it and potentially make a typo error. So what I've done is I've stuck this string, the string we want to analyze, in the subject variable. So now we have our subject. I'm just going to echo out a quick message to say, look, this is the subject we're going to analyze, and I've just made sure that the subject is in bold. So in the browser, it says subject to analyze, and then I've just printed that string out and put in a couple of line breaks here. Now everything after that is what's returned from the function. So let's take a look at the function now. The function in PHP 7 is called preg underscore replace underscore callback underscore array. This is a PHP 7 function. And this function allows us to very quickly and cleanly run multiple regular expressions on the same string, on the same subject. And so what we need to do is, as the first parameter, we need to pass in an array. And this array is an associative array, meaning it has a key and a value pair. The key being the regular expression, and the value is going to be a function. Now, every single match found by that regular expression will run that function. So if this regular expression, let's say, has a match maybe 40 or 50 times, then this function will be invoked 40 or 50 times. However many matches there were for that regular expression. So the keys are the regular expression and the values are the functions. Now the function is given the results, given the match that is on that current iteration. So whenever it finds a match, it's going to invoke the function, and it's going to give this argument an array that contains the string that was matched. So once we have this, we can echo out some information. I'm going to echo out the first value in matched, and I'm going to echo out the first element within the match array, which is the string that was matched. And then I'm just going to concatenate on this string saying, look, there was a match found for, and then I put in brackets A to resemble my regular expression over here. And then I've just added in a few line breaks down here. Now I've then gone ahead and added in another regular expression with another function, and this one's going to match the letter B, whether it be uppercase or lowercase. And what it will do is it will say, look, whenever you find a string or a part of our string that contains B's, for example, I want you to return that part of the string. So it will match any sort of what you would class as a word full of B's. Then it would populate that argument with an array. It would echo it out, and we grab the first element in the array, which is the matched data, and then we just print out some simple information. So if we take a look at this, we have, first of all, 2 matches found for A and 1 match found for B. So let's take a look at the subject. Well, we had 6 A's right here, and those 6 A's were matched, and that ran the function once. So that's already found 1 match, run the function. Then the function is run for a second time, because we have another, if you would class it as a word, AA, we have another word in our string full of A's. So it made a second match, and it returned the match, and then it said match found for A. And then finally we have a word made up of all B's, and it returned that word and that match of the regular expression, and it said a match found for B. So for each match, your function is invoked. If I had, let's say, several B words in there, so now we have 3 matches for B, 1, 2, and 3. Hit refresh, and now we have 3 matches for B and 2 matches for A. So that's a really nice new feature in PHP 7, but that's not all that we have available to us here with this function. You can also set a limit. Now the limit by default is set to -1, which means there is no limit. So as many matches as you can find, basically. But if I was to say, right, I only want you to return 1 match for each regular expression, max. If it doesn't find anything, it doesn't find anything, but if it does find anything, only return 1 match for each regular expression. So now I can go ahead and save this, and if I hit refresh, you'll notice that it only allowed each regular expression to return 1 match. So that is the third parameter you can pass into this function. And also, another parameter you can pass in is a variable. So I'll just create a variable up here saying num of matches. And as the name suggests, what this function will do is it will populate this variable right here with the number of matches from all of our regular expressions. So at the moment, as I have the limit of 1 on here, we only find 2 matches because of that limitation. Now I'm going to echo out the variable num of matches, and it should populate it with the value of 2. Let's find out. And there we go, it populated it with the value of 2. If I take the limit off, so I set it to -1, that means find as many as you can. Well, now it finds 5 matches from our regular expressions. So there you go. That is the new preg replace callback array function in PHP 7. The first 2 parameters are required, which is your array of regular expressions and the subject in question. And then you have 2 optional parameters, which is limiting the amount of matches for each individual regular expression, and also you can return the number of matches into a variable, and then you can echo that variable out.